You are harassing me! You boys are done!
Ma'am, put your hands behind your back.
I was sitting in my police captain's office when my phone buzzed with a text from my sister. "Can you pick up Kayla's birthday gift today? The party's tomorrow." I glanced at the clock. 2:47 p.m. on a Saturday. Greenwood Mall would be packed, but I had promised. 20 years wearing this badge, and I still got excited about simple things like shopping for my niece's 16th birthday. The drive to Greenwood Mall took 15 minutes through familiar streets. I'd lived in this city my whole life, watched it grow and change. The mall's massive glass entrance gleamed in the afternoon sun as I pulled into the parking lot. Before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like button, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. Trust me, tomorrow's story is going to blow your mind, and you don't want to miss it. Inside, the mall buzzed with weekend energy. Families pushed strollers past window displays. Teenagers clustered around the food court. The smell of cinnamon rolls and fresh popcorn filled the air. I walked with purpose, my leather purse swinging at my side, mentally running through gift ideas for Kayla. That's when I felt it. The prickle on the back of my neck that every cop learns to recognize. Someone was watching me. I caught their reflection in a store window. 2 security guards, about 30 feet back, moving when I moved, stopping when I stopped. The tall one, his name tag read Miller, spoke into his radio while staring directly at me. His partner Davis kept shifting his weight nervously, like he knew something was wrong but couldn't quite name it. My jaw tightened. After 2 decades in law enforcement, I could spot surveillance from a mile away. This wasn't random. This was targeted. "Copy that," Miller's voice carried across the corridor, loud enough for me to hear every word. "Black female, brown leather bag, blue sweater, keeping eyes on." The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. Not woman, not customer, black female, like I was a suspect in some crime I hadn't committed yet. My fingers curled into fists at my sides. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, flash my badge, watch their faces drop when they realized who they were following. But I was off duty. I was here to shop for my niece. I wouldn't let their prejudice ruin this simple pleasure. Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door to Crystal's boutique. The sweet smell of vanilla perfume washed over me. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. Display cases lined the walls, filled with delicate jewelry that caught the light like tiny stars. Behind the counter stood a middle-aged white woman in a crisp blazer. Her name tag read Linda. She saw me and went completely still. Her smile vanished. Her hand moved to the phone behind the counter. "Can I help you?" Linda's voice was sharp, unwelcoming. "Just browsing, thanks." I kept my tone pleasant, even though my heart was hammering against my ribs. I moved toward a display of charm bracelets near the back. Kayla had been dropping hints about wanting one for months. Silver links with tiny butterflies, each wing dotted with crystals that sparkled like dewdrops. Perfect. In the mirror behind the counter, I watched Linda track my every movement. Her eyes kept darting between my face and my purse, like she was waiting for me to grab something and run. Outside the store, Miller and Davis hovered by the entrance, pretending to study a directory map that I knew they'd seen 1,000 times. "These are all locked cases," Linda announced, suddenly appearing at my elbow. She stood too close, invading my personal space. "Items can only be removed by staff." "I understand." I kept my eyes on the bracelets, refusing to let her see how her behavior was affecting me. "When I'm ready to see something, I'll let you know." Linda didn't move. She stood there, breathing down my neck, her perfume cloying and overwhelming. I could feel the weight of her suspicion pressing against me like a physical thing. The leather purse at my side, the one I'd saved 3 months to buy, suddenly felt like evidence of some crime I hadn't committed. like carrying it while being black was proof of guilt. "Actually," I said, straightening up and meeting her gaze directly, "I'd like to see that silver bracelet, the one with the butterfly charm." Linda hesitated. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for her keys. She opened the case like she was disarming a bomb, slow and careful, never taking her eyes off me for more than a second. The bracelet was even more beautiful up close. Delicate links caught the light. The butterfly's wings were dotted with tiny crystals that shimmered when I moved. I could already see Kayla's face lighting up when she opened it. "I'll take it," I began. "Excuse me." Linda's voice cut through the air like a knife. "I need to see inside your bag." The boutique went silent. Even the jazz seemed to fade away. Other shoppers turned to stare. I felt heat rising up my neck, burning across my face. "Excuse me?" I kept my voice low and controlled, though rage was building inside me like a storm. "A piece of jewelry is missing from this case." Linda's voice grew louder, more confident as Miller and Davis entered the store. "I saw you slip something inside your purse." The accusation hung in the air between us. False, completely false. But I knew from experience that my truth didn't matter when people had already decided what they wanted to believe. "That's absolutely wrong," I said, keeping my hands visible, away from my bag. "I haven't touched anything except the bracelet you just showed me." "Ma'am, please cooperate." Miller stepped forward, his hand resting on his radio. "Empty your bag on the counter." Every eye in the store was on me now. Phones appeared, pointing in my direction. I could see the calculation happening in real time. Black woman, accusation of theft, security involved. They were already writing the story in their heads. I will not. I drew myself up to my full height, channeling every ounce of authority I'd earned over 20 years of service. "I haven't stolen anything, and you have no right to search my personal property without probable cause." Davis shifted uncomfortably behind his partner, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. But Miller pressed forward, emboldened by Linda's accusation and the growing crowd. "Either show us what's in the bag," Linda declared, her face flushed, "or we'll call the police. This is harassment." I kept my voice steady, clear, loud enough for every phone recording to pick up. "You've been following me since I entered this mall. You're targeting me because I'm black, and I will not submit to this humiliation. Last chance." Miller moved closer, trying to use his size to intimidate me. "Open the bag or things get complicated." "I'm not opening anything." I stood my ground, even as my heart pounded. "You have no right, no probable cause, and no evidence. Back off." Miller grabbed his radio. "Code 10 at Crystal's boutique. Subject refusing to comply. Requesting police backup." More shoppers gathered at the entrance. Phones held high, recording everything. I could see the videos already spreading across social media. Another black person being accused, being cornered, being made into a spectacle. But I didn't move. I'd faced down armed suspects and corrupt officials. I wouldn't be bullied by mall security and a prejudiced store manager. My purse stayed firmly at my side, my eyes locked on Miller's. "You're making a very big mistake," I said quietly. Neither of us knew then just how big that mistake would turn out to be. The tension in Crystal's boutique grew thick enough to cut. I stood perfectly still, my purse clutched at my side, while Miller and Davis moved closer. Other shoppers had stopped pretending to browse. They formed a loose circle around us, phones raised like weapons, capturing every second. "Before you continue with these baseless accusations," I said evenly to Linda, "why don't we review your security cameras? They'll show I haven't taken anything." Linda's confidence flickered. "The cameras are right there." I pointed to the obvious black dome in the ceiling corner. "And there. And there. So let's watch the footage together. Right now." Miller didn't wait for Linda's response. He grabbed my right arm, his fingers digging into my skin hard enough to leave marks. Davis took my left arm with a gentler grip, his face showing clear discomfort with what was happening. "You've been warned," Miller growled close to my ear. "Now you're interfering with security operations." My police training kicked in automatically. I could have broken their holds in seconds. Could have had both men on the ground before they knew what hit them. But that would only make everything worse. Instead, I kept my voice steady and loud enough for every phone to hear. "I am calmly requesting to view security footage that would prove my innocence. That's not interference. That's a reasonable solution." The boutique's entrance darkened as a broad-shouldered figure pushed through the crowd. Officer James Rains strutted in, his badge gleaming on his chest, his face twisted in what looked more like anticipation than concern. My stomach dropped. I knew Rains by reputation. Complaints about him crossed my desk regularly. Aggressive arrests, excessive force, always targeting black shoppers and drivers. He'd somehow avoided serious consequences, protected by connections somewhere up the chain of command. "What do we got here?" Rains boomed, making a show of surveying the scene. His hand rested casually on his weapon, a deliberate intimidation tactic I'd seen him use dozens of times in reports. "Officer, she won't let us check her bag for stolen. Another one causing trouble." Rains cut Linda off, focusing his hostile gaze on me. "Always the same story, isn't it?" "Officer," I began, maintaining my professional tone despite my mounting anger. "This is a misunderstanding that could be easily resolved by—" Without warning, Rains grabbed my shoulder and slammed me against the boutique's glass wall. The impact rattled the display cases inside. Several shoppers gasped. The glass was cold and hard against my cheek as Rains pressed me harder against it. "Don't tell me how to do my job," he snarled close to my ear, his breath hot on my skin. "Hands behind your back. Now." "This is excessive force," I declared loudly, still keeping my voice controlled despite the rage and humiliation burning in my chest. "I have rights, and you are violating them." "Rights?" Rains laughed, yanking my arms back roughly. "You've got the right to shut up while I add resisting arrest to your charges." The handcuffs clicked shut, unnecessarily tight. The metal bit into my wrists. Around us, the crowd had grown larger. Phones were out everywhere, recording the scene. Some people whispered in disgust. Others called out that this wasn't right. But no one intervened. Rains spun me around and started marching me toward the mall corridor. Each step was a study in controlled fury. I'd spent my career fighting against exactly this kind of abuse of power. And now here I was, experiencing it firsthand, helpless to stop it. The mall's main corridor had come to a complete standstill. Shoppers pressed against storefronts. Phones raised high to capture the spectacle of a well-dressed black woman being paraded out in handcuffs. I held my head high, even as my shoulders screamed from the awkward angle of my arms, even as humiliation burned through my chest, even as part of me wanted to curl up and hide from all those staring eyes. "You're making a scene for nothing," Rains announced loudly, playing to his audience. "Should have just cooperated." We reached the mall's side exit. The afternoon sun was harsh after the mall's filtered light. I blinked several times, adjusting my vision. Rains's patrol car waited in the loading zone, engine running. "Before this goes any further," I said clearly, turning to face the growing crowd of onlookers following us outside. "I think you should know something, Officer Rains." "Save it for booking," he snapped, reaching for the car door. "I'm Captain Denise Carter, 15th Precinct." My voice carried across the parking lot. "My badge is in my front pocket, which you would have known if you'd bothered to ask for identification before assaulting me." The crowd's murmuring grew louder. Several people moved closer, phones still recording every second. Rains's face flickered with uncertainty before hardening into a sneer. "Sure you are," he scoffed, but there was a new edge of nervousness in his voice. "And I'm the police commissioner." "Check my pocket," I insisted. "Left side." Rains hesitated, then roughly patted my pocket. His hand froze as it encountered the familiar shape of a police badge. Slowly, reluctantly, he withdrew it. The gold shield caught the sunlight, gleaming with undeniable authenticity. "This is fake," he declared, but his voice had lost its authority. His hands were shaking slightly. "Another charge? Impersonating an officer." The crowd's reaction was immediate. "She's a captain," someone called out. "He arrested a police captain for shopping," another voice added. The phones kept recording, documenting every second of Rains's increasingly obvious discomfort. I could see the calculation happening behind his eyes, the wheels turning as he tried to figure out how to spin this situation in his favor. "I suggest you remove these handcuffs," I said quietly, keeping my voice level. "Before you dig yourself any deeper, officer." "This badge could be fake," Rains insisted, but even he didn't sound convinced anymore. "I'm taking you in for verification. Adding charges for what?" I challenged, keeping my voice steady despite my mounting anger. "Shopping while black? Is that still your standard procedure, Officer Rains?" More phones appeared in the crowd. Someone was live streaming. The video already had hundreds of views. Comments were flooding in, questions being asked. The story was spreading faster than Rains could possibly control. His face had turned an ugly shade of red as he realized how badly he'd miscalculated. But instead of backing down, instead of admitting his mistake, he grabbed my arm again, tried to force me into the patrol car. "You're just making it worse for yourself," he growled. "Fake badge, resisting arrest, interfering with an officer." The crowd's volume increased, their outrage palpable. People were calling out now, demanding he let me go, demanding to know his badge number, threatening to report him. "Every second of this is being recorded, officer," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Every abuse of power, every violation of protocol. Are you sure you want to continue?" Rains's hand tightened painfully on my arm. For a moment, I thought he might actually shove me into the car anyway. Double down on his mistake rather than admit he was wrong. But then another patrol car pulled into the parking lot, lights flashing, but siren silent. Sergeant Robert Watkins stepped out, his weathered face carefully neutral as he assessed the situation. I'd worked with Watkins for years. He knew my reputation, knew my record. And judging by the look in his eyes as he took in the scene, he knew exactly what had happened here. "Officer Rains," Watkins called out, his tone deceptively casual. "Want to tell me why you've got a police captain in cuffs?" The mall parking lot fell silent. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. And I stood there, still in handcuffs, still being broadcast live to thousands of people, waiting to see if the system I'd believed in for 20 years would finally do the right thing, or if I'd have to fight this battle entirely alone. This is the end of part 1. See you in part 2.